Hello, everyone. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with Dr. Laura Gabayan. So stay tuned.
It's a miracle, baby. Shot chill. Miracle Sims. Let's go. I'm good, but I bet you wishing I would have a one night. Yeah. It's a miracle, baby. Shot chill. But I'm not the type of girl that goes. Yeah. It's a miracle, baby. Shot you wishing I would have a one night affair.
Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. I'm here with Dr. Laura Gabayan. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Can you tell me where you're from and a little bit about yourself?
So I was born in the Middle East, came here when I was 6, went to medical school, residency, and did a specialty in research, all at UCLA. And then my body started to fall apart. Hence my speech, you can tell, is not great. And I wrote the book Common Wisdom. And that's why I'm
Awesome.
here.
Okay, awesome. Well, congrats on achieving doctordom. I know earlier you were saying that call you Dr. G and everything, so I'll try to do that for the rest of the show. But cool. I mean, well, I'm glad to hear about the great things and whatnot. And then obviously, I mean, it is unfortunate to hear about you saying that what speech and body breaking down and things of that nature. But we could definitely learn more about what's going on. So how was it to grow up in the Middle East?
It kind of instilled in me my tenacity and my sense of you never give up and you are resilient no matter regarding anything, no matter what.
Right. And then what brought you to the US? Just school or?
Yeah, and I think it was my parents wanted a better life, and they in little would I've known that a little Middle Eastern girl would have written a book, right? So,
Yeah. And so
but what
now I'm sorry.
so in the project I did where I defined wisdom, the second item was kindness. The first was, I can call them all out to you: resilience, kindness, positivity, spirituality, humility, tolerance, curiosity, and creativity. Creativity and curiosity. But kindness is not something I saw there a lot.
Wow.
So it's definitely something that I've learned more of here, but it was not something I saw there.
Got you. Got you. How old were you when you moved?
I was 6.
6. Okay. Okay. So you grew up most of your life here then, but
Yeah,
I'm sure it still was significant the time you spent there.
right. Well, yeah, it makes you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, it does. Like those formative years are definitely super important. So yeah, I
I
can only imagine. Like, I mean, yeah, you hear so many things from, growing up here in the States, you hear so many things about the Middle East and things of that nature, but I don't think I mean, I don't know what's to come or whatever, but I don't think as of right now, Americans like truly understand like what's happening around the world and.
No, we definitely live in a bubble.
Mm,
And I definitely like even writing the book. My editor would say something, and I'd be like, "Have you been to places where women recently just drove? You have no idea." So it's a big deal. People
mm.
don't know unless they've gone there.
Yeah, that's so true. We just get or have a limited perspective and point of view when, all we have is pictures and videos and things like that. And then some of that stuff is even hidden and censored and things of that nature. So we can only imagine what's really happening.
I think that's what I mean when I think about it. I mean, social media, the internet is doing us a total disservice, and I
Mm,
think, and that's why I chose to write my book, Common Wisdom, was because I definitely, well, many reasons I chose to write it, but wisdom has taken back seat.
mm.
It's not as important these days.
Well, I know we can go on and on about this, right? But I was just thinking, like, I think everybody thinks they have their own, wisdom or whatever the case may be, and that's all they need, or and then it's like, ah, yeah, I don't know if I know fully what it is and why we're like this, but I mean, hopefully you'll help us shed some light and whatnot. Okay. So basically, you say you grew up here, you ended up going to college, becoming a doctor, but then, now you've become an author and things of that nature. And you gave us a little glimpse of, why you wrote your book and things like that. But I mean, I would love to know, the transitions and your journey.
Well, it's funny because wisdom is not something an academician would care to study. And so I was busy publishing in academics, in journals. And then in 2013, my body started to fall apart. And I developed random symptoms and weakness. I realize now there's chronic Lyme disease, but the weakness stayed, and a lot of it'll go away, I'm sure, one day. But in my speech, you can tell I slur my speech. And then I was like, well, physicians, medicine, the whole specialty was really interested in putting me in a box and
Mm,
labeling me as this and that and that. And that's when I was like, wait a second, who does not do that? And it was the wise. They, in my idea, I would just want to talk to people that seemed more open to different
mm,
thoughts and different ideas and had a bigger lens in viewing
mm,
life. And that was the wise. And then I started looking to wisdom. I was like, wait a second, we really don't know anything about it. And it's in religious texts, and some famous people may say this is wisdom, but they really don't. No, we don't know.
mm,
So then I was like, okay, so I want to study at this topic, but we don't know what it's about. So I started it, I looked at it like any other scientist would look at a topic. And you start off reading what has been done on it before. And that's when I realized wisdom has an inverse U relationship with age,
mm,
and that those most with wisdom are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's why my book looked at ages 50 to 79.
mm,
And then it also found that it's not different based on gender, on race, or political affiliation, but it is different based on location. And
mm,
so the wisdom you get, we all see in Asia, is different than the wisdom we'll get in North America. And that's why I stuck to talking to people in North America. And then I did find out that the only things that can identify the wise were other humans, not tests, not questionnaires, not this or that, but it was just one person recommending someone else, and that's what I did. And that's why eventually I spoke to 60 wise individuals. Now someone was like, well, 60 does not seem like a high number. I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea. I would spend hours upon hours talking to community leaders, to clergy, to different people just to find one person.
mm. Wow.
And then, based on my 60 interviews, I found what were the common traits or common elements that they had in common, hence the name of the book, Common Wisdom.
Mm. Okay. So do you feel like it's to you is wisdom like beyond like um as you would say like the learned side of things? Like do you think it's more so like well
That
it common
that's
as
what
in
I
common
realized. I
sense?
mean, a lot of people think wisdom is knowledge,
Mm,
but you've met people who are really smart, who have a lot of degrees, but yet they don't make good decisions or they don't live a happy life.
mm,
So, no, or the vice versa. You've met people, I'm sure, who have a very content life and
mm,
that make good decisions, but don't have all those degrees. So
mm-hmm.
the two do not go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Same with age. I'm sure we all know people who are older who
Mm-hmm.
don't make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So just because they're older doesn't mean that they make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Or else every single person we knew that was older would be considered wise.
That's true. That's true. I can see that.
So, so I think, and then I was like, well, is it kind of like this diffuse thought of we know it when we see it? No, well, initially to find the 60 it was, and that's when I defined it as the 8 elements of
Mm-hmm.
resilience, kindness, positivity, spirituality, humility, tolerance, curiosity, and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
In my book, Common Wisdom.
Nice. Nice. Well, I mean, it sounds like an amazing journey you've been on, and
Well, it
teaching
has.
people.
I'm sorry.
No, no, you could go ahead.
No, it's funny because while those 8 elements define wisdom, what I found is people also have said those 8 elements have changed their lives, have given them more meaningful life, have given them a happier life, more
Mm-hmm.
contentment, more peace. So even though my book is very short and to the point, it kind of the goal of it is to be simple but powerful and to change lives.
Mm. Good, good. I know it's definitely needed in this world where people like, microwave information, right? Or quick results and things of that nature. So I mean, I think a quick, easy read is what people are into right now. I thought there was something you said a minute ago I can definitely resonate with, and that's this whole concept of being put into a box. Um, and it seems like you're not comfortable in a box either. I'm not either. I'm like, stop putting me in a box. But but I guess particularly you were saying that they were doing that, I guess when your health was starting to decline and things of that nature.
I think, in a way, knowing about all these conditions and knowing all this was a curse, and people were so into kind of labeling, they
Mm,
weren't willing to consider other options. And that's what I was like, no, I'm not interested in labels.
mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I can resonate with that. I definitely, as somebody that I guess has always been like an underdog or like maybe even misunderstood and things of that nature, it's like just, the term that I've kind of coined lately is like Renaissance woman, right? Where I'm like, okay, I can do a lot of different things. Like, don't put me in a box to say only this, only that. Like, I'm not into that. I understand it's all about, niching and all kinds of stuff these days where it's like, oh, you have to, do it. You have to focus on one thing and all this different type of advice and things you see. But it's like, why can't I just be me? And like my multiple things and people that wanted, whatever thing that I'm doing, they want that. Or if they want the other thing I do, cool, like so
So, what I found in the people I interviewed is creativity was the seventh element.
mm-hmm,
And it was not only people who were creative in thought, but
mm,
people who lived creative lives, who had many hats, who didn't just do one thing, who did many things.
mm-hmm.
And that was important to them too, and to the people they were involved with. So, yes, people do nowadays focus on, oh, why don't you do one thing? But I think it's a part of living a well rounded life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then I get that everybody may, it's not alike. So at the end of the day, like some people may need to focus on one thing. Some people might, that might be their calling or the way they do things or the way that the best way for them to live or whatever the case may be. But don't expect that I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like everybody again is different and got free will and can, make those choices or are made differently. I feel like where again what works for you may not work for me or whatever the case
Right.
may be. So yeah, it's just one of
Right.
those things. It kind of resonated when you said that. I was like, yeah, I know how that feels to be put into a box. And so it sounds like you fought your way out of the boxes. And so how has it been received thus far?
Well, I've gotten different reviews saying it's changed their life and
Mm,
changed the way they live and changed the way. One person said that it saved their marriage,
mm,
or I've gotten random comments of how this is more than a self help book. It's very simple, to the point, and a way to kind of live a better life.
Hmm. Sounds like it's doing what you wanted it to do then, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because it took a big disaster in my health to kind of do something like this. So, yes.
Hmm.
And that's why I believe in my resilient chapter. I talk about how it's really important to look at things and not happening to you, but happening for you.
Hmm.
And when you have that perspective, it's not as bad. And had I had that perspective 4 or 5 years into having this, when all I want to do is to see the patient, had I had that perspective, I think I would have been more at peace.
Hmm. I think I've been like receiving a similar message, I guess you would say, over the past few months as well, as I've been on, I guess, on this journey of, I call it a pruning season, where like different things have been happening in my life, like people have gone away that was a part of my life for a little while, like different things like that, and I don't know. It's just very interesting to me, like to hear other people go through similar things, or again, like you talked about, I guess this horrible thing or whatever the case may be led to the positive thing that you created today, and that is helping people, and things like that, and it is something powerful about like laying down the idea of this is happening to me, and taking it all so personally. I feel like I was kind of going through something like that the other day, where inspiration and whatnot. And one morning I just felt like something was just really, really heavy on my heart. And and I was just only thinking about my perspective of it and feeling some way. And then eventually, like as I was studying more, and by the time I got ready to share that morning, I was realizing that, yeah, I can look at it from my point of view and look at it as this is happening to me. But then by the time I got ready to put it out, I started to see like how it was more beneficial for me to be sharing it out, and how it could be encouraging or influencing or whatever the case may be the other person. So it probably wasn't even about me at all, what I was receiving, even though I was taking it so personally, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it's definitely about empowering that, understanding that, yeah, the stuff we go through, it can be beneficial for us, but then a lot of times you're going through something for someone else, right? Because somebody might need to see how you handle it, or your perspective of it, things like that. And you know I don't know, I guess we're in this world where everybody just focuses on themselves and stuff, so we tend not to think about that side until maybe later, and then we're like, oh, okay, I see how this or that wasn't even for me, it was for my neighbor or for my friend or for my whatever, so again, another
But
thing,
I
another
think
day.
that goes back to the idea that you should live in faith and
Mm,
not live in fear. And
mm,
the reason being, I think I lived in fear my whole life. I had to become this. I had to do this, and
mhm,
I had to prove a point, and that it was all fear based. And I think
mm,
if you just have faith that it'll be okay, it'll work out. I
mm,
think that gives you a bigger sense of peace. Don't be wrong. I believe that you should go through life as a warrior and not a victim.
mm,
Because being a victim is not going to help anyone. But I do think having that security that it'll be okay, it goes a long way.
yes, I agree. Yes, yes, it does. And but and even acknowledging, right, that okay, I can feel the way I feel, and things like that. But then, like you said, pushing through and understanding that it can get better. It doesn't have to stay where you are. And one of the things that kind of has resonated with me over the years is this concept of understanding that when you think about it, all of your bad days are in the past. So you made it through all the bad things in your past. So if you keep going, you're going to make it through this bad thing too, or
Right.
whatever the case may be. And so, I try to encourage, use those things to encourage myself as well as others. And, you know, sometimes I think people get it, sometimes they don't. But I guess that all comes with like you said, the wisdom and, and everything like that.
Right. It does. I agree.
So, I mean, you have this book out here, it's doing great things. I mean, what more are you doing out there? I mean, are you kind of taking a break from being a doctor, or like
Well,
what?
I can't see patients. I think I mentioned that 2013, my body started falling apart. And about 2017, 18 is when I was like, you know what, this is too much. I
Mm,
can't do it.
okay.
And then right around COVID is when I started looking into the idea of wisdom and behind whatever it is.
Mm,
And the book was published this year on Amazon, Calm to
okay.
Wisdom. And it's in all four different ways. So you can get it on ebook, audiobook, whatever you choose to do. And it's soft cover, hardcover, whatever. And I think I don't know what the future has in store for me, but right now my focus is the book.
Nice. Well, congratulations on publishing and creating all these different avenues and ways for the people to receive the message. And I pray that
Thank,
it goes far and wide, man, and that you keep blessing people with this information. I mean,
thank
Lord
you.
knows wisdom is an important conversation in these days. Time.
Especially these days. Because
Yes.
we don't like one of my elements was humility, right? That was the
Mm,
fifth one. And when you look at Instagram or Facebook, whatever, there's the last thing anyone wants to be is humble.
yeah. Yeah. People look at
So
that as weakness, right? Meekness is weakness in people's
right,
minds, I guess.
right.
But it's the opposite. Well,
It
don't even
is.
start because I feel like
It
everything.
shows it shows that you are the bigger person when
Mhm.
you don't want to make someone else feel small. And you're
Yeah.
humble. And the bigger person doesn't need all that glitz and glamour. They
Yeah.
don't need that.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
That's good, man. I'm glad that you found purpose even after, because I know a lot of times, especially, I don't know much about, again, everybody and cultures and stuff like that. But my understanding is, for example, the Asian culture or maybe the Middle Eastern culture, all these places, they kind of really, really harp on their children to get into those like doctor careers and, all those careers that people deemed to be highly successful X, Y, and Z. And even after your situation, you were able to push through and obviously create this book, and who knows what else is going to come from it.
we don't know.
Um, but yeah, and that's a beautiful thing as well. It's a beautiful like what new frontier where you can just be creative, and you never know. I feel like I could just use that. But
That that's idea. You have no idea. Like had I known, like in when my body started to fall apart, that I would use that to do something like this, I wouldn't. There would be no way. I would be like, no way. So you
mm,
have no idea.
right. So I mean, like I said, I'm glad to see that's encouraging in itself to see that you didn't let that get you down. You didn't let people like keep you in that box and say, "Oh, you can't do anything anymore," or whatever they were saying. And you use this time and things like that. To me, it seems like you used wisdom, right, to use this time wisely. And look what's come. You got this amazing book now, and you're doing these interviews, and we're gonna see what else comes because I feel like there's definitely more things. I'm sure
Yeah,
that
we don't know. But thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, I mean, I won't, belong your time or anything like that, but I would love for you to share with us, again, where you can find your books, where we can learn more about you, where you want the people to go for more
So I
information.
have so when I was doing the project, when people wanted to look it up because they were nominating or recommending other people, they went on to the wisdomresearchproject.com.
Mm,
And that's just like a one pager, and if it will forward you to my website if you go there, lauragabayan.com. And that's where you're able, but on both, you can buy the book on Amazon. And either way, you can buy the book on the website or just on Amazon. And as I said, it's available in all four different ways.
hmm Awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like to leave with us before you go?
No, I think I firmly believe that you should live in faith and not in fear. And that know that everything will work out. Whatever you do, everything will work out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I know the Bible tells us all things work together for the good of those that love God. And so I see this playing out in your life. I see it in my life. And so look, 2 testimonies right here. Like you said, walk in faith and not fear. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for visiting us, Dr.
Of
Laura.
course.
Dr. G.
Thank you.
Wishing I would have a one night affair.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show. And thank you to Dr. Laura for joining us tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And check out her book and the rest of her endeavors. Have a good night.